My name is David, and I never thought I'd be in a story like this, but here I am, sharing my experience because maybe it'll help someone else understand what betrayal really feels like. I was with my wife Emily for almost 10 years. We got married young, both ambitious, both eager to start a family. Everything seemed normal, or at least I thought it was. We wanted kids and we went into it head first, trying to conceive almost a year. That's when things started feeling off, but I didn't realize how off until I looked deeper. Emily started acting differently. She was more irritable, snapping at me over nothing. She'd cancel plans at the last minute, saying she had to work late, but her excuses didn't sit right anymore. I chalked it up to stress. She's always been a little bitchy when she's stressed. But then I noticed her phone. She'd hide it when I walked into the room, or she'd quickly lock the screen when I came near. I didn't think much about it at first. Everyone does that, right? But the odd thing was her messages weren't just work stuff or friend talk. They were more flirty, intimate, and downright inappropriate. It came to a head one night when I was doing some research about IVF because we'd been trying so hard and nothing was working. I wanted to understand what could be going wrong, so I started digging into the fertility clinic's messaging portal, just looking over some basic stuff, nothing fancy. That's when I saw it. Texts from Emily. Not just mundane stuff, but explicit messages, exchanged with our fertility doctor, Dr. Martin. They'd meet after I'd do my specimen collection. I couldn't believe it. I felt sick, like I'd been punched in the gut. How long had this been going on? Who the hell does that? I stared at the messages for what felt like forever, trying to process it. She was lying constantly about her whereabouts, making excuses for her late nights, saying she was working or meeting friends. But it was all bullshit. She was fucking the doctor. I remembered her saying she was tired, how she didn't want to have sex anymore, how she hated the whole fertility process. It was all a cover-up. I felt betrayed at every level, but mostly I felt stupid for not noticing sooner, for trusting her. When she was out there cheating, I wanted to scream, cry, confront her immediately, but I knew I had to think carefully about what to do. I didn't want to act impulsively, but I also knew I couldn't just pretend I hadn't seen this. I felt disgusted, furious, and just plain heartbroken. My wife, my partner, was cheating on me with the guy who was supposed to help us have a child. How could she do that? How could she lie so blatantly? I never imagined I'd be in this position, but here I am, staring at proof that my wife has been lying, sneaking around, fucking our fertility doctor. It's a nightmare I can't wake up from. After I found those texts, everything changed. I couldn't sleep that night, and I couldn't stop thinking about how she lied to my face about everything. About how she didn't want to have sex, about being tired, about just needing some time. All the little excuses, all the bullshit, suddenly looked so pathetic when I knew the real reason. She was in bed with that bastard behind my back, probably while I was trying to do everything right, trying to give us a family. The next morning I woke up earlier than usual, my mind racing. I kept staring at her, lying there pretending to sleep. I didn't know what to do first, whether to wake her up, confront her right then and there, or just sit with what I knew and plan my next move. I felt so betrayed, so disgusted. Part of me wanted to just grab her by the shoulders, yell at her, ask her how long she'd been doing this, how many times she'd lied to me. But I knew I had to be strategic. I couldn't afford to blow up without a plan. I started thinking about how to handle this without making everything worse. I knew I couldn't just storm in and accuse her outright. She'd deny, lie, and probably gaslight me. I wanted her to admit it, but I wasn't sure how to get her there. So I played it cool during breakfast, acting like everything was normal. Inside, I was boiling, preparing myself for the confrontation I knew was coming. I also decided I needed proof, more than just a few texts. I had to be sure, so I started digging into her phone, her email, her social media accounts. I was determined to gather everything I could before confronting her. When she finally noticed I was acting weird, she snapped at me, blame, deflect, call me paranoid, typical Emily. She called me insecure, accused me of snooping, told me I was overthinking everything. She gave me her usual line, "You're crazy, Dave. There's nothing going on. You're just stressed about the IVF again." But I wasn't stupid. I knew better. I had the evidence and I was about to confront her with it, whether she liked it or not. The thing is, I felt a strange mixture of anger, sadness, and disappointment. I never thought I'd be the guy who's cheated on, who's been betrayed like this. I kept asking myself, how did it come to this? Was I ever enough? Did I do something wrong? Or was she just that cold, that selfish? I wanted to believe there was some explanation that could justify her actions, but deep down, I knew it was just her lying again, trying to save face. I couldn't stop thinking about how I had trusted her, how I had tried so hard to make everything work, and how she threw it all away with that bastard doctor. I decided I needed to see her phone again, get more proof. I slipped into her purse one evening when she was out, took her phone, and started scrolling. That's when I saw the messages, more explicit, more intimate, from Dr. Martin. Pictures, plans to meet, promises of secrecy. She told him she hated her life, that she felt trapped, that she wanted to escape. It was all right there. That's when it hit me. This was no accident. This was planned, ongoing, and I had been dumb enough not to see it for so long. When she came home that night, I was waiting. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her, and she immediately knew I knew everything. The look in my eyes must have been enough, because she froze, trying to come up with some lie. But I was done playing her game. I was done pretending everything was fine. That was the moment I realized the marriage was already over, if it ever even had a chance. The confrontation hit harder than I expected. I didn't even yell at her right away. I just sat there, holding her phone, showing her the messages I had uncovered. She looked at me with that smug, bitchy expression she always wears when she thinks she's gotten away with something. But this time her face said it all. She knew she'd been caught. Her lips tried to lie, to spin some bullshit about how it was just sex, how it didn't mean anything, how she was under stress. But I wasn't buying it. Not anymore. She argued, of course, said he was just a friend, that they'd only kissed once or twice, and that it was all a mistake. Her words dripped with sarcasm and bullshit. She kept blaming me, saying I was paranoid, accusing her of being a bitchy wife who just wanted to blame her for everything. She called me insecure, pathetic, and told me I was overreacting, but I couldn't listen to her. I was already past the point of trusting anything she said. Her constant lies, her manipulations, they all just piled up. Her reaction just fueled my rage. How she could sit there, so calm, so dismissive of what she'd done, was infuriating. I felt like I was drowning in it. This betrayal, this complete disregard for what we had. It was like she didn't care that she tore apart the life we built together, all for some fleeting, meaningless sex with our doctor. I kept thinking about how cold she was, lying in my bed, pretending to be innocent. I wanted to shake her, scream at her, break something. But I held back, knowing I needed to stay rational if I was going to handle this. I told her I knew everything, that she'd been lying for months. I said I felt disgusted, humiliated, and heartbroken. Her response: she started crying, acting like I was the one overreacting, like I was the one who had betrayed her by snooping. She claimed she was sorry, that she didn't mean to hurt me, that it was just a mistake, just sex, that she was unhappy, that she felt trapped, and that she never loved Dr. Martin, only needed something to feel alive. I didn't buy a single word of it. I knew she was full of shit, that she was just trying to save her own ass. The emotional toll was overwhelming. Every word she said made me feel more like a fool. I kept replaying everything we ever shared, all those years I thought we had something real, and now I saw it for what it was, a lie, a facade. I felt sick thinking about all the times I'd trusted her, all the plans we made, the dreams of having a family. She'd been plotting this behind my back the whole time. And the worst part, she seemed to honestly believe she could just lie her way out of it, that if she cried enough or spun some bullshit, I'd just forget everything and forgive her. But I couldn't. I knew I had to decide what to do next. Deep down, I already knew I couldn't stay with her, not after this. I didn't want her to keep lying to my face anymore, pretending everything was fine when she was out there screwing our doctor and probably everyone else who would listen. I realized I had to think about myself, about what was best for me and how to move forward from this mess. I didn't want to be some guy who got cheated on and just accepted it. No, I needed a plan, something decisive. I started thinking about lawyers, maybe even doing a full investigation of her phone and emails. I needed proof beyond just words, beyond just my gut feeling. If I was going to end this, I wanted her to know I wasn't a chump and I'd fight for what was rightfully mine. That night, I stayed up late making mental notes, trying to calm down enough to think clearly. Inside, I was a mess, angry, hurt, betrayed. But I knew I had to be strong. I couldn't let her see how much she'd broken me, not yet. Not until I was ready. I realized I was going to have to be ruthless if I wanted to get out of this with some shred of dignity. And honestly, I didn't think she deserved any mercy after what she did. If she thought she could just lie her way out of this, she was dead wrong. I wasn't going to let her walk all over me. The days that followed were a blur of cold calculation and quiet fury. I knew I couldn't have her in my space anymore, not after everything I'd uncovered. I started making plans, gathering evidence, and mentally preparing myself for the inevitable showdown. I also made a decision. I was going to leave her. No more pretending. No more trying to fix something that was already broken beyond repair. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd done, but I also wanted to be smart about it. I found myself watching her every move, trying to catch her in another lie, another slip-up. I kept my cool, pretending everything was normal, but inside I was simmering. I knew if I confronted her again without solid proof, she'd just deny, twist, and gaslight her way out of it. So I looked through her phone, her emails, even her social media accounts. I needed to know if she was still in contact with him, if she'd been cheating on me with anyone else. I also secretly recorded her conversations when she thought I wasn't listening. I wanted everything documented. One night, I finally decided I had enough. I sat her down in the living room, looked her straight in the eyes, and told her I knew everything. I laid the evidence on the table, screenshots, recordings, her own words. Her face went pale, and for a moment she looked genuinely scared. That was satisfying. She stammered, tried to deny it again, but I just cut her off. I told her that I was done, that I deserved better than a lying, cheating wife. I told her I was leaving and I wasn't coming back until she figured out what she really wanted. Her response was a typical act. She burst into tears, saying she loved me, that she was sorry, that she'd do anything to fix it. She begged me to stay, to forgive her, claiming she was just confused, that she didn't mean for any of this to happen. But I didn't buy it. Not anymore. I told her I didn't want to hear her lies, that I'd already made up my mind. I said I'd give her one last chance if she was willing to be honest and cut all contact with Dr. Martin. But deep down, I knew that was just a delaying tactic. I wasn't going to stay with a wife who cheated on me, especially not with my own doctor. I started packing my things that night, trying to keep a clear head. It was hard. Every item I packed felt like it was pulling me further away from the life I thought I had. I kept thinking about all the pain, the betrayal, the lies. It was like a punch to the stomach every time I remembered her smirking, acting like she hadn't done anything wrong. I wanted to hate her, but mostly I just felt numb. I was tired of being the fool, tired of feeling like I was crawling through life with a knife in my back. Before I left her a note. Nothing fancy, just a statement of facts and my decision. I told her I knew the truth, that I was done being played for a fool, and that I'd be starting over. I told her she had burned the bridge completely and that I hoped she found whatever it was she was looking for, because it sure as hell wasn't with me anymore. I walked out that door knowing I'd never look back. That night I slept alone, but for the first time in weeks I finally felt some sense of relief. The worst was over, and now it was time to pick up the pieces. The aftermath hit me harder than I expected. Moving out, I thought I'd feel some kind of victory, but mostly I just felt hollow. I didn't sleep much those first few nights. My mind kept replaying all the moments, all the lies, all the times I trusted her when I shouldn't have. I felt stupid, betrayed, and angry at myself for not seeing it sooner. But I also felt a strange sense of relief, like a weight had been lifted, even if the wound was still fresh. I started seeing a counselor about it, not because I wanted to get back at her or because I wanted to rekindle anything. Hell no. I needed help processing what had happened. I couldn't believe the extent of her deceit. The fact that she was willing to cheat on me with our fertility doctor, right under my nose, made me question everything. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how I didn't see her slipping away from me. I also wondered what kind of person could do something so cruel and manipulative. It was a lot to take in. In the weeks that followed, I cut all contact with Emily. I blocked her number, her social media, everything. I didn't want to see her or hear from her. I needed to focus on myself, on healing. I kept working, kept going to the gym, tried to surround myself with friends who could remind me of who I was before this all happened. But there was always that voice in my head, that gnawing doubt. Could I ever really trust again? Could I ever believe in something like a future with someone? And then there was the other part, anger. Pure, hot anger. I was furious at her for what she did, furious at Dr. Martin for participating in this mess, and furious at myself for not noticing sooner. I kept replaying everything, trying to find some way to punish her, some way to make her feel the pain I was feeling. But I knew that wouldn't bring me closure or peace. The only thing I could do was move on, learn from this, and make damn sure I didn't get fooled again. One thing I learned is that betrayal like this doesn't just hurt. It destroys parts of you that you never knew were so fragile. Trust, once broken, isn't easily repaired. And love. It's not enough to keep a relationship afloat when there's so much deception. I've come to realize that sometimes the only way to truly heal is to walk away, no matter how much it stings. That's what I chose. I told myself I deserved better than someone who'd lie and cheat so blatantly. I deserved honesty, respect, and someone who truly cared. Now I'm trying to rebuild slowly, painfully, but surely. I don't know if I'll ever fully get over this, but I do know I won't let it define me. It's a lesson, a brutal one, but one I won't forget. I hope that someday I'll trust again. Not her, not that woman, but myself and something near to love. For now, I'm just trying to breathe, to move forward, and to remember that I am worth more than what she thought I was. That's the real victory in all this, I guess. Finding my own strength after betrayal. It's been a few months since I walked out that door and cut all ties. Honestly, the pain still lingers, but it's different now. I've started to piece myself back together, piece by piece, figuring out what I want and what I don't want anymore. That betrayal changed everything, but it also pushed me to reevaluate what I value: trust, honesty, respect. I used to think I had all those things in her, but I was wrong. Now, I know that I need to be more careful, more guarded, but still open enough to believe in something real again. Looking back, I realize how much I let myself be blinded by the good times, by the hopes of a family, and by her supposed love. I see now how her lies were hiding the truth, how her manipulations were slowly eating away at what little confidence I had left. But I also see my own strength, how I refused to stay in that toxic cycle, how I chose to walk away instead of drowning in resentment and heartbreak. That, I think, is what saved me. I've started dating again, cautiously. It's not easy, trust doesn't come back overnight, but I refuse to let her betrayal define my entire life. I want someone who's honest, someone who values me and isn't willing to cheat or lie. I've learned the hard way that love isn't about blind trust but about respect and integrity. I don't regret what happened. Well, maybe a little, but mostly I'm grateful. Grateful that I saw the truth before it was too late, grateful I found the courage to walk away, and grateful I didn't lose myself completely in the process. The biggest lesson I've taken from all this is that sometimes people will screw you over no matter how much you want to believe in them, no matter how much love you give or how hard you try. And that's okay. It's part of life. You get up, you brush yourself off, and you move on. Because in the end, the only person who truly has your back is yourself. And if you can find the strength to walk away from crap like this, then you've already won. So to anyone out there dealing with betrayal, know that it hurts, but it doesn't have to break you. You're stronger than you think. Trust is fragile but not impossible to rebuild. And sometimes, walking away is the only choice that makes you feel alive again. I've come to accept that I might never fully trust again, but I will never let someone's betrayal take away my ability to believe in something better. I've learned that the hard way, and I hope anyone reading this can find the courage to live honestly, love wisely, and never settle for less than they deserve.